Okay, everybody, let me begin this afternoon by saying that being in government is, of course, a privilege wherever you are in government, and being in government is also a huge challenge in normal times. But, of course, these aren't normal times, and politicians in power around the world, and indeed their civil servants, are being tested in a way that hasn't been experienced for generations. Decisions are being made in the face of a ferocious global pandemic we could not have imagined just 5 months ago. Governments are also having to make difficult decisions, sometimes in a matter of hours, and as new information about the coronavirus and its spread comes to light, there has been a frantic scramble across the globe for personal protection equipment, for healthcare workers, for ventilators, for the availability of tests, and also in setting up specialist hospitals. Businesses here and elsewhere have indeed stepped up to the plate in repurposing their production lines to provide equipment. Nevertheless, ministers and officials across the world are becoming frustrated at the struggle to source equipment. And as the Deputy First Minister and I have repeatedly said throughout this crisis, people are, of course, understandably anxious about the damage which COVID-19 will inflict on our population, and these are very stressful times as we look at the death toll across the United Kingdom and indeed here in Northern Ireland. But let's also be clear, our executive is doing everything it can to limit the damage and protect our NHS staff and the volunteers who have joined them, and indeed the workers who are keeping this society functioning. It is obvious that none of this is easy. We may not always agree on our approach, but I don't for 1 minute doubt the sincerity of Michelle or Conor or Robin or Nicola or Naomi or indeed any minister in their desire to save lives, and neither should you. We are facing the biggest global health emergency for over 100 years. We haven't seen a pandemic on this scale since the Spanish flu, and our citizens, of course, are hungry for information, for reassurance and for advice. And over this past 2 weeks, 373,000 people have accessed Northern Ireland Direct, including more than 200,000 for the very first time. And the Executive's digital ads have had 500,000 impressions. So as our citizens seek reassurance and clarity, ministers and civil servants are doing everything that they can to provide that, even when the information is not readily to hand. So I just want to provide a brief update on some business-related issues. Northern Ireland is, of course, reliant on our air and sea connectivity, and the haulage industry is under tremendous stress at this time with fewer return loads. So following several representations to ministers in the UK government, including the Chief Secretary to the Treasury and the Secretaries of State for Transport, Business and Northern Ireland, the Economy Minister and the Infrastructure Minister are continuing to press for an urgent resolution. The latest small business grants position is that 10,000 payments have been issued, representing 100 million in support for local small businesses, and a further 4,790 applications are being ratified and assessed, and eligible applications will be sent for payment. Applications are coming in every day, and we're trying to process those as quickly as possible. Clarity has also been sought from the Chancellor following concerns from local businesses around the consistency of approach from lenders operating the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme, and indeed on the eligibility criteria. Finally, Edmund Poots has announced £1.5 million support package for the local fishing industry. So whilst it may be tempting for some people to concentrate on apparent inconsistencies of approach between jurisdictions or indeed executive ministers, we need to focus on the things that really matter, and we need to focus on getting our hospitals tooled up for the very difficult days ahead and ensuring our nurses, doctors and indeed other key workers have the kit they need. And as we head into another weekend, it's essential that public health information on how social distancing can save lives is not drowned out. Please stay at home as much as possible. Observe the social distancing in public, and where a member of your household starts to show symptoms of COVID-19, please self-isolate for 14 days. Now, we have seen Evidence that a lot of people are listening. Road traffic on our key routes has fallen by 47% on Monday, dropping to less than 60,000 vehicles compared to more than 100,000 vehicles a week earlier. And an estimated figure of 650 rail users at the start of the week amounts to just 15% of the 4,200 who used those services 7 days earlier. So that's encouraging, but we cannot relax our guard, especially as we head into the weekend. People need to stay at home as much as possible. When you're in the public, observe the 2 metre social distancing rule, and that is the contribution everyone can make to reducing the strain that will be put on our healthcare system. If we reduce that peak of the COVID-19 surge, our healthcare workers will be in a better position to save lives, because the pandemic is bigger than all of us. It's bigger than any national identity or political philosophy, and it is a challenge to every single human being. And that's the challenge we must face. It's the challenge we must address. And whilst the weeks ahead will be difficult and extremely painful, we have to say, for families in Northern Ireland, we have to together get through this.